Okay. So this is actually really interesting. Um, on one video, I am passionate about like game design and like the different like periods of like gaming and stuff. Like I love this type of like historical. Okay. Okay. So, back in the day, there was an era where actually well, video game technology and all this technology was actually like quite you need to understand like sci-fi actually quite has been invented during our lifetime. All right. And because of that, there was a period during which ads and promotion and actually explanation of this technology that was in development, developing and promoted and sold, that was really on the edge, really, I'd say really uncanny. All right. And this talks about this, so I am quite excited to hear what he has to say about it.
This video will cover PlayStation's unhinged era of marketing from 1995 to 2011. We'll look at a handful of advertisements and what they did for the PlayStation brand, and even talk about their inspirations. I'll answer questions like, why were PlayStation ads so bizarre? Who were the creatives behind these? And how did one ad save the PlayStation brand? Video game advertisements in the early 90s were filled with frantic footage of characters, but Sony wanted to change that. From Nintendo advertisements featuring the likes of Mario to Sega and Sonic, one thing was certain: their target demographic was kids. In an attempt to corner kids and families, the mainstays of the console industry turned a blind eye to entire untapped markets, young adults. And Sony realized this early in the development of the PlayStation 1. Originally a joint venture with Nintendo, Sony created a CD-ROM attachment for the SNES, allowing the console to accept both SNES cartridges and CDs. This new entertainment system was dubbed the PlayStation with a space. However, less than 24 hours after Sony announced the collaboration, Nintendo would go back on its contract. Nintendo went behind Sony's back and asked Philips instead, one of Sony's key rivals, to develop CD technology under the condition that Nintendo would have total control over their licenses on all Philips-produced machines, standing in stark contrast to Sony's original claims, a majority share of CD-ROM profits, and publishing rights to all CD content. This led to the green light for the development of the PlayStation 1 as a standalone console. It initially faced resistance from Sony's CEO, Norio Oga, when Ken Kutaragi, the father of the PlayStation, first pitched the idea a couple of years prior. Another key part of Sony's strategy came in their approach to games.
We knew that in order to be successful, we had to capture the hearts and minds of the developers and the publishers equally.
This especially rang true with their call to arms in Japan, where they rounded up nearly 250 developers and publishers to appear on the new console. It paid off, and in turn, the December 3rd, 1994 release broke new ground for the company. In less than
Let me just verify one. Yeah.
3 months, the PlayStation sold more than 1 million units in Japan, becoming an instant hit. With home turf in good hands, Sony set their sights on the West. Sony had to make a splash with the PlayStation, and what they pulled forever ingrained itself into the minds of gamers. The marketing strategy for the PS1 was clearly defined from the beginning, and their goal was to appeal to an older, more sophisticated audience. This came about thanks to the PlayStation marketing team. They realized that everyone wanted to be 19. If you're 12, you want to be 19, and if you're 25, you want to be 19 again. As a result, 19 was the target communication tone of voice for marketing strategy as a whole, only made more apparent
This is actually really really good conclusion when it comes to marketing. Wow, this is interesting when it comes to
by
marketing.
Sony's choice to purposely withhold prominent Sony branding from the PlayStation rollout to create a clear separation from the mature Sony brand and their new younger PlayStation. The initial "You Are Not Red E" tagline was created for this sole reason, and this red E motif continued with Enos. Enos, or Enos Lives, were found across PlayStation advertisements and media, a play on the pronunciation of Sony but in reverse. However, there were added layers to this phrase. The red letter E, understood as ready, of Enos was ultimately deciphered as ready 9th of September, a reference to the PlayStation's unique US release date of September 9th, 1995. Also included in the marketing rollout using a simple 99.95 to stir excitement. All of these initiatives were a byproduct of PlayStation recognizing gamers wanted to work harder at deciphering messages. Or more simply, not all gamers were children or wanted to be treated like children. Nothing captures this philosophy better than the Double Life ad for the PlayStation 1. Released in 1999, 5 years after the initial release of the PlayStation, the advertisement sought to position PlayStation as more than just a gaming console, but as a gateway to new experiences and identities. The advertising agency behind this campaign was TBWA. With offices across the globe, they paved the way for the PlayStation's distinct style, and their history would only grow with PlayStation under their belt. The Double Life ad took a harsh departure from traditional video game advertisements, exchanging the hectic, colorful, and gameplay-centric adverts for something with more depth.
For years I've lived a double life. In the day I do my job, I ride the bus, roll up my sleeves with the hoi polloi. But at night, I live a life of exhilaration.
Of missed heartbeats and adrenaline.
And if the truth
For years, I have lived a double life, echoed in the minds of viewers, featuring a cast of 19 different actors representing all who dare to play, an achievement in diversity even for today's standards, all of whom contribute to the unforgettable monologue detailing the memories they've made thanks to video games, created by James Sinclair, Ed Morris, Trevor Beatty, and directed by the late Frank Budgeon. The four
This is actually interesting. I actually want to check this out. Not now, but like as a okay, this is interesting, and I'll check this out like sometimes later, because like from a marketing and artistic perspective, this is actually like, you know, like we like to say that like we as gamers, we don't like to fucking being taken for idiots, and actually they didn't, and they actually did something really special, like seeing the project, seeing kind of like it's ads, but still it's interesting. I really want to check this out later.
along with the rest of their team, went on to change gaming advertising forever. Double Life was released to widespread critical acclaim and became the most awarded ad campaign of 1999 and 2000. It marked a paradigm shift in the way gaming advertises itself, shedding the notion that gaming was reserved for boys, when in reality it was for everyone to enjoy and experience. TBWA continued this masterclass in marketing with the release of the mental wealth ad in the same year. Unlike Double Life, which showcased a diverse cast, this ad featured just one actress, a Scottish girl with an enlarged cranium, monologuing about mental wealth. Directed by Chris Cunningham, known for his work with Aphex Twin, the ad became a cultural sensation. Though actress Fiona McLean was horrified at the digital alteration of her face, the unsettling result made waves and even graced the cover of Dazed in November 1999. This marked PlayStation's success in positioning itself not just as a console, but as a lifestyle brand. Double Life and Mental Wealth are important in understanding how PlayStation's marketing became so bizarre. All this playful marketing succeeded in attracting a more adult audience and set the tone for future PlayStation marketing. Subversive, witty, and at times dark. Without Double Life, PlayStation wouldn't have the necessary brand positioning to venture into more unconventional strategies.
There's one thing that like people tend to forget, and we tend to forget as well as gamers, is that like I said earlier, even back in the day and nowadays as well, being taken for an idiot for liking video games and electronic arts in general is something that people fucking hate, right? But another thing is that people tend to forget that like the video games that we play are actually really dark, really touch subjects that are absolutely like complex, constructed, deep, and philosophical, intellectual, and actually political as well, and moral. And I think that like this is something that like is nowadays people kind of like accepted the fact that like we're just like enjoy storytelling, right? But back in the day, like but people back in the day know this as well. People tend to forget that like the media of video gaming is actually really serious and really interactive, but also really teaching and enriching when it comes to culture, when it comes to intellect, when it comes to perspective. And I think that like this is something that people tend to forget about video games, because we see it nowadays with the idea of Fortnite being the poster child with Among Us and Mario. We see video games as this type of media that is really subject to be quite lighthearted, and while it is not the case at all. It talks about war. It talks about like a lot of like, think about like how many games are not let's not even talk about like the fact that it's like combat or shooting games, but that the canvas is based on conflict, right? And so people tend to forget that, because the poster childs and me as well actually tend to forget how dark and how well, delicate, but also beautiful, but also well arranged the games we play nowadays are. Because think about the games that are seen as the masterpiece, as seen as the miracles of electronic arts these days. You will think Elden Ring, you will think God of War, you will think The Last of Us, you will think at least I think in my personal perspective, God of War, The Last of Us, Elden Ring, to me personally, World of Warcraft, StarCraft as well. And think about the fact, just take the time to readjust and remember the subjects of and the philosophies and the messages of these games. These are not children's games. These are adapted to all public, to any public. But these are work of arts that are treating and subjects and asking questions that are so complex, so dark, and so sometimes even obscure, that I just thought that it was important to, even for myself, to remind myself that that the games that I play and I enjoy are actually much more than I allow myself to think. All right. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just wanted to just I just wanted to notify, to remark that after seeing what he said, after listening to what he said, it's true that even I forgot all I got used to enjoying these dark fantasies and these dark stories, these dark subjects. Maybe it will remind you too. Anyway.
Without mental wealth, PlayStation wouldn't have the proper cultural capital to veer into the surreal. And that is exactly where Sony took PlayStation with the release of the PS2. The PlayStation 2 was the best-selling console of all time, and part of that success was thanks to its groundbreaking marketing. Sony was riding high on the release and success of the original PlayStation. It brought 3D gaming to the masses and forever changed the perception of gaming. They were looking to do it all over again, and who better to hire than the same people who pulled it off the first time, TBWA. The overarching theme for the marketing push was this concept of the third place, a place beyond home or work, and in the case of the PS2, a place entirely up to your imagination. The whole point and the response we want to get from the ad, said Darren Carter, the marketing director of SCE Europe, is that it's an excited fear, a new unknown, but during it, you think you're going to like it. This was especially telling when TBWA hired the creative mastermind behind the surreal Twin Peaks, David Lynch. As a result, one of the most iconic PS2 ads was born, Welcome to the Third Place. He brought the eclectic and eerie visuals he was known for to the world of PlayStation, from doppelgangers, industrial soundscapes, and even head injuries. Just to wrap things up with a duck-headed man saying, "Welcome to the third place," who was actually voiced by Lynch himself. There were several other commercials under the third place campaign, most of which were wrongly attributed to David Lynch. In this article by Simon XIX, they examined which ads were long thought to be directed by Lynch himself, namely Bambi, Dog, Overboard, Jimmy Dynamite, The Wolfman, and Blind. While all of these commercials push boundaries in the field of video game marketing, nothing would cause a stir like their print counterparts. PlayStation's recognizable marketing continued with its print and magazine push. Unlike their video counterparts, these adverts had one opportunity to steal your gaze, and they were exceptional at it. From human veins in the shapes of PlayStation buttons to human eyes with veins in the shapes, or for those interested in the suggestive, the woman who was taking her shirt off, condoms in a triangle, square, circle, and X variant, and this one. The folks at TBWA knew how to get our attention and make us remember, but PlayStation's history of eccentric and controversial print ads can be traced back to this one quote: "It's more powerful than God." A 1995 postcard passed around the Glastonbury Festival, and if you take a close look, it actually had perforations, each segment serving as a cardboard filter for smoking. And looking back, such a quote seems somewhat tame compared to what they put out next. Advert for smoking.
Wait, what?
5 postcard passed around the Glastonbury Festival, more powerful than God. A 1995 postcard passed around the Glastonbury Festival, and if you take a close look, it actually had perforations, each segment serving as a cardboard filter for smoking.
Yes, okay. No, I wasn't sure, but yeah. If you know, you know. If you don't, You don't.
And looking back, such a quote seems somewhat tame compared to what they put out next. Adverts filled with far more adult and frankly controversial content. Sony's decision to position PlayStation in this fashion is best explained by this quote. By utilizing the punk, industrial, and dystopian arrangements set forth by various underground club movements in films like Fight Club and Blade, Sony's PlayStation captured a sense of fear and unease in their print adverts. These images targeted an older audience. They let gamers know that no matter your age, gaming could now be part of everyone's everyday life, as it collides with even the most underground street movements. But this was nothing new for PlayStation. During the release of the PlayStation 1, Sony contacted clubs across the UK and proposed setting up rooms with PlayStations for people to play with guides even made detailing the strange phenomenon. PS2's print adverts further positioned itself as the mature option for would-be gamers, crossing into adult territory most gaming companies had yet to touch. It's interesting to view the marketing push for the PS2 through the lens of transformative 90s films and design movements from the era. The simple fact that PlayStation was willing to take inspiration from films centered around underground fight rings, a heroin addict, and the nature of free will illustrates that Sony is willing to view gaming as a dynamic and adult medium. Clear references to these films are found in some of PS2 prints. This one in particular showcases a Morpheus lookalike holding a blue pill in one hand and 4 shapely red pills in the other. But the inspiration for PS2 marketing extends beyond film references, but uses entire design movements as its muse. Going back to the RAM CPU article, they identified movements like late 90s club culture, corporate grunge, and Gen X soft club as key reference points for the PS2's visual identity. And at a glance, the visuals are uncanny, from muted greenish hues reminiscent of the Matrix to distorted corporate aesthetics. PS2's visual language was rooted in counterculture.
And this is absolutely masterful when it comes to marketing, but it's also a risk because do you know what it is to actually like wear and actually be the owner of this type of aesthetics? Well, it actually takes a responsibility. Like, it is something that you cannot just walk around and have an aesthetic that is like of an outsider without actually carrying it. And it is a responsibility, and it is also like torment that you will have to live with. So yes, it did such a risk, but at the same time, they actually took the time to actually like rethink about what they're actually selling and to who they're actually selling, and they do not like. And back then, it was people need like. You need to remember, you need to remember that like back then it was like there wasn't like a before. You get me? There wasn't like a before. There wasn't a fucking like, yeah, now the PlayStation 5 or like the Xbox Series X, or like, there wasn't a before. there wasn't. Like the before was fucking, was cartoonish arcade games, okay, and some computers back then. So yeah, it was completely different.
TBWA was again tasked with tackling the marketing around the new PlayStation 3, but this time they went too far, especially considering the situation the PS3 found itself in. Numerous delays, the most expensive in its category, and its release lagging an entire year compared to its rival, the X.
I think also the it wasn't this misunderstood and unknown technology as it was at this point.
Xbox 360. Suffice to say, the console was not in good standing. In response, Play Beyond was the campaign they came up with, aimed to showcase the unparalleled power and potential of the PS3. A commercial break interrupted Game 4 of the 2006 World Series. 60 million viewers were greeted with an unsettling baby doll. Opposite a floating PS3. There were other versions as well, one with a Rubik's Cube and one with eggs and crows. For many, this was the first time they'd see the PS3 rollout. Some looked back on these adverts fondly, likening them to eccentric PlayStation ads of the past. The imagery from these was also translated into print form and used for further explanations regarding the PS3's hardware. Moving on, Sony decided to pull back on their more artistic ads in favor of being more gaming oriented. As a result, Universe of Entertainment was their next line of ads, continuing the Play Beyond tagline while highlighting the PS3's gaming and Blu-ray capabilities. But what came next was something nobody expected. An ad for MLB09 The Show unveiled a fictional game director by the name of
Well, Dustin, PlayStation gamers demand the most realistic baseball game ever, so we're just gonna keep it as is. It's called Integrity.
Kevin Butler, played by Jerry Lambert. The MLB ad was so well received that it resulted in the famous Dear PlayStation series of adverts, featuring Kevin Butler in different settings, answering different questions PlayStation users may have.
I got a tip that you were making the PS3 $2.99. Confirm or deny?
$2.99. Bernie, you can't believe everything you read on the internet. That's how World War I got started.
What?
PlayStation's new spokesperson coincided
That's
with
dark.
the $100 price drop of the original PS3 to $299, and the release of a smaller, sleeker PS3 Slim at the same price. The combination of the witty Kevin Butler and the cheaper entry price made the PS3 far more palatable to the average consumer. This drastic shift in tone was accompanied by a change in tagline from Play Beyond to It Only Does Everything, a clear departure from emphasizing the PS3's potential to what it can actually do, something many consumers were still completely unaware of. But this newfound success was not created by TBWA. Due to the mixed reception of the PS3's launch marketing, Sony switched to rival agency Deutsch LA. Not only did they bring back PlayStation into the limelight, but they also
Deutsch. That's good. He's good.
helped the brand when it needed it most. The good fortune the PlayStation will be turned on its head on April 17th, 2011. Over the course of 2 days, unknown hackers breached Sony's network, compromising the information of more than 77 million users. Sony was forced to deactivate its PlayStation network, resulting in an outage lasting for 24 days, the longest in the service's lifespan. Things were only made worse due to Sony's week-long gap between first identifying the breach and notifying users of their compromised details. The hack went down as one of the largest breaches of credit card information and cost the company a staggering $171 million. Apologies followed shortly after, both in a dedicated press conference and at E3.
Which brings me to the audience that I'm most interested in addressing, and those are our consumers. You are the lifeblood of the company. Without you, there is no PlayStation. And I want to apologize both personally and on behalf of the company for any anxiety that we've caused you.
In light of this disaster, Sony continued their partnership with Deutsch LA and released Michael, an ad featuring some of PlayStation's most iconic characters, all in praise of the true hero who gives meaning to their existence, the player.
Michael!
Michael.
When the Templars murdered my family, when the whole bloody world's gone crazy. Hellcat, Sector 9, to Michael! For all he does. For all of us. To Michael.
The Michael in the advertisement is a tribute to a real PlayStation fan.
Okay, I'm a mega simp. I've seen like a girl from Final Fantasy.
The player.
Michael! When the Templars murdered my family, when the whole bloody world's gone crazy. Hellcat, Sector 9, to Michael!
What the fuck is this? Okay.
For all he does. For all of us. To Michael.
The Michael in the advertisement is a tribute to a real PlayStation fan. His name was Michael J. Mamaril, a 22-year-old who sadly passed away from cancer. The very same Michael found in Borderlands 2, for he was also a huge fan. The heartfelt nature of the ad won over the internet and helped recover PlayStation's brand image, with some even calling it the best video game commercial of all time. Long Live Play was the accompanying tagline and can be considered the last great marketing push for the PlayStation 3. Looking back at PlayStation's catalog of commercials reminds us of the importance of marketing and branding, especially in an emerging industry like gaming. From being a newcomer in the industry to being the first to sell 100 million units, the PlayStation 1 served as a case study for targeting an untapped audience. The PlayStation 2 took lessons from the PS1 and put them in high gear, leaning further into the surreal, serious, and spontaneous. However, as companies change, so do their strategies. The PlayStation 3 saw the brand shift away from its more artistic marketing rollouts, most likely a product of playing catch-up in its need to regain market share. Sony had to shift from glamorizing the lifestyle of a gamer to acknowledging the needs and wants of the gamer. The evolution of PlayStation's marketing serves as a reminder that knowing one's audience is a key to success, which only makes me wonder, how will Sony sell us on the PlayStation 6?
Sourdough. Wow. This is absolutely unbelievable. Thank you so much for this video. This is a piece of history that is so well described, so well researched, and so carefully put together. I really appreciated that. This was fascinating. Wow, this was so many things that I learned, so many things that I already knew, but that were kind of, you know, like, you get me, right? And wow, leave a follow Sourdough, offer him leave a like, and what is it called, and subscribe to his channel. It's unbelievable what he does. What the fuck did I just watch? What the fuck?